Your hands started shaking, and you told yourself it was just the coffee. Your chest got tight, and you blamed it on the weather. Your body was screaming at you for weeks, and you refused to listen. There's a moment, and I believe you've already lived it, where your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. A decision you can't make, a truth you can't face. And instead of letting you ignore it forever, your body starts to fall apart. Today, I'm going to tell you about a warrior who stood on the edge of the greatest battle in human history, and whose body simply shut down. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why that ancient moment explains the exact thing happening inside you right now. But first, let me ask you something. You've been waking up at 3 a.m. recently, haven't you? Not from a nightmare, from nothing, just awake, heart pounding, staring at the ceiling. And during the day you're fine, you're functioning, you're answering emails, showing up to meetings, saying, "I'm good," when people ask. But your jaw is clenched right now. You didn't even notice until I said it. There's a decision sitting in the back of your mind, something you need to do, something you need to say, someone you need to face, and you keep pushing it down. You keep telling yourself, "Not yet." You keep finding reasons to delay. But your body doesn't lie. The insomnia, the tightness in your chest, the way your appetite disappeared 3 weeks ago and you pretended not to notice. Your body knew before your mind did. Let me tell you about Rohan. Rohan was 29, a software architect. 3 years ago, he and his two closest friends from college, Arav and Meera, co-founded a tech startup. They built it from a dorm room idea into a company with 42 employees, 2 rounds of funding, and a product that once made them believe they were going to change the world. But 6 months ago, Rohan saw the numbers, the real numbers, not the ones they showed investors, the ones buried in spreadsheets at 2 in the morning. The burn rate was unsustainable. The product market fit they'd been chasing had never actually arrived. And the third round of funding they were counting on, every firm had quietly passed. Rohan knew what needed to happen. The company had to shut down, or at the very least, pivot so drastically that half the team would need to be let go, including roles held by people who had left stable jobs because Rohan personally asked them to take a chance. But he couldn't say it. Not to Arav, who had put in his entire savings. Not to Meera, who had turned down a position at Google twice to stay. Not to the 42 people who called this startup their home. So Rohan said nothing. He went to work. He smiled in stand-ups. He approved timelines for features he knew would never ship. And then his body started talking. First it was the hands, a slight tremor during presentations. He'd grip the edge of the table to hide it. Then his mouth, dry, impossibly dry, no matter how much water he drank. He'd wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, heart racing, skin burning like he'd been standing too close to a fire. He went to a doctor. Blood work came back normal. Stress, they said. Maybe try meditation. But Rohan wasn't stressed about the work. He was stressed about the truth he wouldn't let himself speak. His body was grieving a decision his mind refused to make. It was a Thursday evening when Rohan found himself sitting on the steps outside his apartment building, unable to go inside. His hands were shaking again. His phone buzzed. Arav, asking about tomorrow's investor deck. He didn't answer. That's when Mr. Shastri sat down next to him. The old man from 4B, retired professor, the kind of neighbor who always smelled like chai and sandalwood and never seemed to be in a hurry. "You look like a man at war," Mr. Shastri said quietly. Rohan almost laughed. "I'm not at war. I can't think straight. My body's falling apart and I don't even know why. Mr. Shastri looked at him for a long moment. Then he said something Rohan didn't expect. You know exactly why. You've known for months. The trembling in your hands? That's not a medical condition, Rohan. That's your soul trying to put down a weapon it no longer wants to carry. Rohan stared at him. Mr. Shastri continued. There was a warrior once, the greatest archer the world had ever known, who stood at the edge of a battlefield and looked across at the other side. And do you know what he saw? Not enemies. He saw his own people, his teachers, his cousins, his uncles, people he had eaten with, laughed with, grown up with. And in that moment, his body did what his pride wouldn't let his mind do. His limbs went weak, his mouth went dry, his skin burned. His bow, a legendary weapon that had never once failed him, slipped right from his hands. His body was saying what his mouth couldn't. I cannot do this, not to them. Rohan, what is it that your body is trying to tell you? Now hear the original Sanskrit. These are the words spoken by Arjuna himself from the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 28 through 30. The moment a warrior's body betrayed a truth his mind could not face. Arjuna Vach Drishtvaimam swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupasthitam Sidantimam gatrani mukham cha parishusyati Vepatushcha sharire me Rom harshascha jayate Gandivam sransate Hastatvakchaiva paridahyate Na cha shakno mevasthatum Brahmativa cha me manah. Here is what these sacred words mean. Arjuna speaks. O Krishna, seeing my own kinsmen gathered here, eager to fight, my limbs are sinking. My mouth is drying up, my body trembles, and my hair stands on end. The Gandiv bow slips from my hand. My skin burns all over. I am unable to stand steady. My mind is reeling as if lost in circles. This is not weakness. This is the body's final alarm. The last warning before a man is forced to confront a truth so painful that every cell in his being revolts against it. Arjuna wasn't afraid of battle. He had fought 100 battles before. What he couldn't bear was the cost. The people he would lose, the relationships that would shatter, the world that would never be the same after what he was about to do. Just like Rohan. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, two massive armies stood facing each other. On one side, Arjuna and his brothers, the Pandavas, fighting for their rightful kingdom. On the other, their own cousins, the Kauravas, who had stolen everything through deceit and cruelty. But this wasn't a battle against strangers. Arjuna's grandfather Bhishma, the man who had held him as a child, stood on the opposing side. His beloved teacher Drona, the one who had placed the first bow in his hands, stood against him. Uncles, cousins, friends from another lifetime. Arjuna had asked Krishna to drive his chariot between the two armies so he could see who he was about to fight. And when he saw their faces, really saw them, something inside him broke. His body registered what his warrior's pride would not allow his mind to accept, that no victory here would feel like winning, that the cost of doing the right thing would be paid in grief and loss, and that some of that loss would belong to people he loved. Rohan wasn't standing between two armies, but he was standing between two impossible truths. The company had to end, and the people he loved most would be hurt by that ending. And just like Arjuna, his body broke down long before his mind could catch up. Rohan sat with Mr. Shastri for a long time that evening. He didn't speak much, but something had shifted, like a bone that had been out of place for months, finally clicking back. The next morning, for the first time in weeks, Rohan didn't open his laptop and pretend everything was fine. Instead, he called Arav and Meera. Not for a stand-up, not for a strategy session, he just said 5 words. We need to talk, honestly. He told them everything. The real numbers, the investor rejections, the calls he'd been handling alone because he didn't want to burden them. His voice broke twice. His hands still trembled. But here's the thing, and this is important. The conversation didn't go well. Not the way movies show it. Arav went quiet, then angry. Meera cried. There were accusations. There were long silences that felt worse than any accusation. It was one of the hardest days of Rohan's life. But that night, for the first time in 4 months, Rohan slept through till morning. His jaw unclenched, the tremor in his hands, not gone but quieter, like his body had been holding its breath for months, and finally, it exhaled. The startup didn't survive, not in its original form. They pivoted into a smaller consultancy, Rohan, Arav and Meera, and it was messy and uncertain, and nothing like what they had dreamed of building together. But the friendship, bruised, cracked, reshaped, survived. Because Rohan finally let his body's truth become his spoken truth. He didn't find a perfect answer. He found something harder and more honest. The courage to stop pretending he didn't already know. Now let me ask you, does any of this sound familiar? Your sleep has been shattered for weeks, and no amount of rest seems to fix the exhaustion living behind your eyes. Tension has taken permanent residence in your shoulders and jaw, like a weight you never agreed to carry. A conversation you desperately need to have keeps looping through your mind, rehearsed 100 times, spoken 0. Something in your life needs to end or change, and your body already knows it, even though your mouth hasn't found the words yet. Here is your Gita journal question for today. What is the one truth your body has been trying to tell you that you haven't yet allowed yourself to speak out loud? Write it down, not for anyone else, for you. And if you're ready, share your reflection in the comments below. You might be surprised how many people in this community are carrying the exact same unspoken weight. And remember this, the trembling was never weakness. It was your body begging you to be honest before the silence broke you instead.